As we can see from many of the events that we have previously reported on this channel, the ANC government, or actually GNU-led government, is or seem to be extremely antagonistic towards churches and specifically Christian churches. All of this is despite South Africa's churches being absolutely instrumental in facilitating the takeover of this country by the ANC Communist Party alliance in the early 90s. Yet today, the very government they got into power is threatening their very existence in religious liberty. Many pro-ANC Christian theologians from all races, such as Beyers Naudé and Desmond Tutu, have long been heralded as champions of liberty and justice. But what did these men who helped the ANC come into power really believe? And how has supporting the ANC turned out for South Africa's churches, and very specifically also Afrikaner churches? Stay tuned, because in today's video we are going to highlight the extreme irony of how the churches in this country actually orchestrated their own downfall by supporting the ANC. In the decades following the Second World War and in the rise of the National Party to power, the Christian churches in this country virtually unanimously embraced an ideology that can best be described as post-World War II neoliberalism. Rejecting the Christian nationalism it had previously stood for in favor of a religious affinity towards multiculturalism and liberal democracy in every country. It was especially from the Cottesloe consultation in 1960 onward that churches in this country began to identify more openly with the ANC and its struggle for political power. And ever since the ANC came to power in 1994, these same churches have continued to support this very government that had destroyed South Africa. Yet today, this very political animal that the churches in this country helped create is slowly and steadily chipping away and starting to devour the country's Christian churches. You see, on the 7th to 14th of December in 1960, the World Council of Churches hosted an international meeting in the suburb of Cottesloe, Johannesburg. 8 South African member churches participated in this meeting, including the 2 largest Afrikaans Dutch Reformed churches. The World Council of Churches consequently condemned the policy of the National Party at the time and sided with the ANC and South African Communist Party struggle under the leadership of Nelson Mandela. In South Africa, there was an immediate backlash, with even the Prime Minister at the time, Hendrik Verwoerd, condemning it as a form of foreign interference. As a result of the political pressure, the Afrikaans churches also withdrew their membership from the World Council of Churches. The most prominent of the few dissenting Afrikaner theologians at the time was perhaps Beyers Naudé, a theological liberal who, in a 1967 speech, shortly after he had left the Dutch Reformed Church, proclaimed that all religions believe in the same deity and all religions are the same and can lead to salvation, no matter who you are, if you're Buddhist or Muslim or Christian or Jewish or whatever. Naudé stated that you must choose a faith to live by from all the religions that share a common faith in a living, just and loving God. Naudé therefore not only departed from the church's social teachings of the time, but he also rejected the heart of the Christian gospel, namely salvation through faith in Jesus Christ alone. Another prominent critic of apartheid was well-known Anglican bishop and theologian Desmond Tutu, who even coined the term Rainbow Nation during the early 90s. But Tutu was too a heretic who rejected even the most basic truths of the Christian faith rooted in the Gospels.
The creed. But again, my dear friend, when we say Jesus Christ ascended into heaven, you don't believe that he got a kind of ecclesiastical lift that took him into the stratosphere.
Why don't I believe that?
You already, in your mind, if you are a thinking Christian, realize that this is language that is being used figuratively. When we speak even about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It is not the revivification of a corpse.
Yes.
It is speaking about a tremendous reality that Jesus Christ is risen, his life.
He doesn't believe in the resurrection, and he doesn't believe in the ascension.
And while at first it was only theological universalists such as Naudé and Tutu who openly identified with the ideals of the ANC and their allies like the South African Communist Party, this radically changed later during the 80s, when even the most of the Afrikaner churches started openly back the transition towards a multicultural democracy under ANC South African Communist Party rule. In 1986, a major turning point occurred when the Dutch Reformed Church officially embraced the position formerly held only by those who had been considered heretics like Beyers Naudé. In the 90s, some of the elderly Dutch Reformed Church leaders openly confessed their involvement in formally supporting the National Party in appearances they made before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Other Afrikaans churches eventually followed suit, with the Nederduits Hervormde Kerk formally condemning the political system predating the ANC takeover of South Africa as pre-ANC South Africa, and, I quote, contrary to the gospel of Jesus Christ. The churches of South Africa and the parachurch organizations they have been involved in have been pandering to this ANC government's agenda now for decades. From the pulpit and in the church bulletins, they have promoted a socialist gospel that is fundamentally based in post-World War II liberal political ideology rather than the truths of divine revelation. They have actively supported the political power held by the ANC, by which they suppress the people of this country. Even the basic narratives and principles underlying the ANC's land expropriation policies have been officially endorsed by the Dutch Reformed Church or NG Kerk synods. But what have the churches got in return? What have those who have for decades opted to follow the Rainbow Nation theology or gospel of Desmond Tutu received in return for their subservience to the ANC's ideology? In South Africa today, we have a situation where it is no longer just conservative churches being attacked by the mainstream media for upholding basic biblical principles that contradict the neoliberal agenda. But today, even the most mainline denominations are under assault by a government that seeks total control over everything the church says and does.
No religious leader will be allowed to operate without the registration. It will be an offense to practice without a license. The reality of the matter is, you have to be registered or else you'll go to jail.
Of course, when churches embrace the leftist agenda wholeheartedly as the mainline denominations in South Africa have, they will, of course, not be able to resist this tyranny. This is why the churches are, exceptions notwithstanding, so silent when it comes to the current attempts by the government's Culture, Religion and Language Commission's onslaught on religious liberty in this country. The Commission frames its intervention as necessary to combat abuses such as fraud, theft, exploitation and misconduct within these religious institutions. But the fact of the matter is that all of these are already criminal offences under existing law. South Africa possesses a full legislative framework to prosecute such acts across society, not limited to churches. Why then create parallel layers of religious compliance mechanisms? The only logical explanation is, of course, that there is an agenda aimed at ending the religious liberty of South Africa's Christians. And in the midst of all of this, the irony couldn't be any clearer. The very same churches that once helped construct the moral narrative behind the Rainbow Nation now find themselves being devoured by its ideology. Having traded doctrinal purity for political approval, they now struggle to defend even their own continued independent existence, when the very state they supported and got into power begins regulating what they may preach, believe or practice. And yet, even now, after all this destruction and mayhem, the churches remain silent, offering the faithful no alternative to decay, nor inspiring people to work for any real concrete reform of our political system. Is it any wonder then that young people in this country, and now so many young Afrikaners in particular, have become totally alienated from the large institutional churches, or as we call it in Afrikaans, the Susterskerke? Is it any wonder then that these denominations continue to lose thousands of members every single year, and that most are now on the path towards complete oblivion? Is it any wonder then that if you walk into most of these churches, most of the people that you'll see there are elderly people or retirees? Is it any wonder then that virtually none of the congregants in many of these Susterskerke are now young people? Here at the Willem Petzer Group, we sincerely pray that more and more churches will develop the necessary backbone to oppose this tyranny of the GNU regime, from which the people of South Africa desperately need liberation. We also pray that in this showing of backbone, young people will start believing in returning to churches again, because we understand the fact that the reason why young people have become so disillusioned by in the churches of our ancestors is because these churches did back and still back the tyranny that oppressed them every single day. The reason they can't get work, and in many of their cases, the reason their own family members were slaughtered. In a recent video, we highlighted the need for churches to make their voices heard now by opposing the CRL committee, for example, which aims for total control to regulate religion. Check out our full report by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right now. And please do consider supporting our work by becoming a paid member of the Willem Petzer Group. Only with your investments are we able to make well-researched videos such as these every single day. Simply follow the easy steps on the banner underneath me. Goodbye and God bless.